Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Nigerian Now on Network Television, where we keep you updated with some of the happenings in the country, looking at the various sectors and seeing what is happening there based on how they unfold daily. I am Stella Elisha Dasham. Do well to drop your comment and your views on Facebook and on YouTube. I'll be doing the program alongside Rachel Tansy. Good afternoon,
Afternoon,
Rachel. How
Sally.
you
I'm
doing? The
fine, and you?
weather seems to be a bit chilled and
Very
cold.
cold, Sally, but we
Yeah.
love it either way.
Of course, it's that
Yeah,
time. Well, we appreciate God for that.
yes.
Well, we have quite a number we love, and we will recall that yesterday, precisely, the National Assembly have finally passed a bill of the 70,000 naira minimum wage. We will recall that the Minimum Wage Act 2019 stated that the minimum wage then was 30,000 naira. But yesterday, after the review, the new minimum wage have passed the first, second, and third reading, and it has been passed as the new minimum wage, which happens to be 70,000 naira, and that will be reviewed after 3 years, not the former 5 years. And a number of people were actually saying, why did the National Assembly quickly, pass that? Are they afraid that Nigerians will change their mind and say, no, 70,000 is too small. We need it to increase it to 80 or 100. But then this is one of those bills that really, really does not need the House to delay because people are really, really going through a lot, and I think it's only fair that the National Assembly passed that bill yesterday. We know that they also passed it alongside the Police Act, which have said that the IGP will only, retire after the years of his tenure elapses. So that will be in 2027 for the new Inspector General of Police. But then our focus this afternoon is concerning the new minimum wage, which happens to be the 70,000 naira. In as much as we're seeing that till date, Induma is still insisting that that money is too small. Because if we look at it honestly, it's not going to be enough to be able to cater the needs and the wants of Nigerians, because 70,000 naira is just for a bag of rice. So how about meat? How about vegetables? How about hospital bills? How about transportation? How about so many other things? So, but then it is what it is. As we've seen that finally it has passed, and I'm happy we've seen that even the Senate President said that domestic staff rules should be also be paid is new minimum wage, which happens to be the 70,000 naira. I know it will be a tricky one. I remember you telling me this, but then that is what it is. And I'm hoping that pensioners will also be carried along in this new minimum wage, because this is what it is. But I think it will only be right for governors in various states, because we're seeing that Labour are beginning to meet with governors after the passing of that bill. But I feel it will only be fair that we also have pensioners carried along. So it should show that, the government also cares about them as well.
It's not surprising that the federal government, the Senate, have passed the bill, and we have 70,000 as our new minimum wage. Is long overdue. So like we are looking at a talk that started since January, which was supposed to be implemented by April, and then we didn't see it happening. The back and forth with labor and all of that. So yes, once there was an agreement and a conclusion, of course, we would have our leaders not making this quick, because I believe it needs to reflect very soon in the payment slip for civil servants and those who will be affected by this increase and all of that. So Labor now have put it in a position. Of course, Labor is the only people, for example, in position that could stop or delay this from happening if they were to speak out and say we do not accept 70,000 and all of that. But we know that this minimum wage was with agreement with our organized labor and all of that. So there is no room for delay. And of course, seller is 70,000 naira. It's what the government claim they can afford. So they will quickly pass it on as a bill, and it is now what our minimum wage. For me, I am more interested. I can't just wait for 3 years later to see the review taking place, because 70,000 naira is not good enough. Nigerians can complain, but in the end, the people we made to represent us have agreed with the federal government at 70,000 naira, and there's little or nothing civilians out there can do. But 3 years from now, are we going to see this review? That's my biggest concern. We've talked about that all the time. And secondly, what is the government doing for our value when it comes to the currency? In the sense that when you equate our minimum wage to a dollar, is not even up to $50 as it is now. But if the federal government should put things in place, it means we can grow. That is, if our currency should gain some value, it doesn't matter if it's 70,000 naira, but we can see it move above 40, 50, 60, up to 100. It's possible. That means we would have our exchange rate now at 700 naira, below that, and all of that. It's twice that amount at the moment. So these are the things that I am looking forward to seeing. Not how excited they are to pass it into a bill and all of that. It has come to stay. Nigerians have no option but to accept it. But what is the government doing that this money be of value to the people that will be receiving it? Because as it is now, it is equal to nothing, if we're going to be honest.
Because I mean, we're just seeing that the new MPC,
Yes,
new interest rate,
increase, yeah.
is really, we're having it about 27.
26.75%.
Very
Yeah.
good, 26.75%. And then that is, if you're going to equate it with our inflation, and then also look at our exchange rate, you just can't help but wrap your head to say, okay, 70,000, this is the inflation. How much will I spend this and that and that?
Yes.
But then, just like I said, right now it's left for the governors. I remember the president said after passing this, we'll see a backdating the payment. But we know there are states that are still yet to pay the wage award that the president said should be paid. So just like we said, I mean, we just hope that these governors will take up from that, even though we're having operational private sectors having their own different arguments about it. But nevertheless, I know that eventually this should be it.
Yeah.
And just like you said, let's wait for 2027 and see what the new minimum wage will be.
Yes.
Now, still in relation to this, we're saying that the president is coming out to plead with Nigerians, particularly youths, and tell them, you know what, please, can you cancel the protest that you want to start? I think we've seen various angles towards that. We've seen what Bayo Onanuga is saying about that. That is the advisor of the president, accusing Peter Obi telling him to apologize. If not, he's going to fine a suit of about 5 million naira. And then we're seeing many other, conversation around it. Falana asking questions such as, what is the federal government afraid of? What are their fears? Why don't they want Nigerians to come out? And another side, we're seeing the IGP of police saying, you know what, we will deal with protesters. And you just can't help but ask the question, how do you intend to deal with them? Positively or negatively?
Yeah.
Now, this is a question we just all want to know the answer to it. Alongside so many conversations concerning whether or not this protest is going to hold. Of course, I remember we've seen a number of people coming out to say, you know what, no, we shouldn't do this. Some people backing out of it. We're seeing Sowore saying that protest is starting from the FCT, and a number of conversations. Atiku saying, you know what, this protest should hold because, I mean, with the hardship in Nigeria, the economic way things are, definitely Nigerians need to voice out concerning of this. But then we saw that there was an emergency meeting, which we're yet to get feedback of what the meeting was all about. But the meeting was held earlier in the morning concerning what is the way forward and what the government is hoping to do to help Nigerians to be able to have something that they can work towards. We see him saying the fact that he's working towards making sure that we have all that we need, talking about some of the policies and all of that. But then if you're going to ask a question, Rachel, I mean, is the president hoping to go back on some of the policies he have made?
We are waiting to see what the president is going to do about it. It's much more suiting to hear the government, the president precisely, pleading with Nigerians to not go on a protest than to see an order ordering Nigerians or a threat not to go out on a protest. So that they are afraid of the protest because they know that the situation in the country have not been favorable to anybody. So Nigerians will not be out there on a lie. We are not going to be out there that food A bag of rice is now 85 while it's 30,000. Where Nigerians are not going to be out there on a lie. They are going to be out there with the reality of the current situation of the country. Now, the government is afraid because they do not know how to handle it. We've seen how they have manhandled situation in the past. I'm yet to see where the government was able to handle a situation the right way, most especially when it comes to protest. They know they lack the ability to manage a situation. That is why we will have the IGP be more negative than positive about what is going to be happen. It is not in your position, it is not your business whether Nigerians go out to protest or not. What is your business is the safety of that
Nigerians.
protest. And this is where you need to come out and say you would ensure there is safety. What you will do if a problem should come up is your business. As law enforcement, you have your plan, you have strategic ways you plan on keeping your officers and all of that. But what Nigerians need to hear from you is your job, and that is their safety. Now, it's the same thing coming from the president. You plead and beg Nigerians, don't come out. This is what, be more transparent. But are we transparent? No. Be more accountable. Are we accountable? No. Are we paying subsidy? There are certain things that if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should come out and do, Nigerians will not go on a strike, Sele. Nobody would strike because, okay, now the government have spoken and have acted. It's not just word. Don't beg us. We want to see actions that will be favorable, that we know, give or take, within a period of time, we will see. It's over a year since our currency it's been floated, exactly, and there is nothing positive to show for it. That is a bad policy because we are looking at a currency that is being exchanged. So by virtue of market, if it's going to be favorable, it could have been by now. Every MPC meeting, the NPR goes high. Something is wrong somewhere and you're refusing to address the problem. We can talk about our inflation. It is growing rapidly. It has not been constant or halted or paused or stagnant. It keeps going high. It means something is wrong somewhere. We can talk about insecurity and what is happening. It means that little or nothing is taking place if we keep having our problems reoccurring. Nigerians just want to see a green light. A little bit, a tiny little bit, that you know what, this policy is working, but there's no policy that appears or seems to be working. And it's funny how an APC member in Adamawa will say that the government have been able to come up with local government autonomy. And I was like, I'm still shocked. I'm very, very shocked, Sele, that would be the achievement of a president of the country, something that with or without him, it will happen eventually.
I mean, that bill was passed a long time.
It has been long overdue, and whether President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a president or not, eventually it will come to stay, because if we have a moving government, they will see the need for it. That is not an achievement. It's nothing. It's not even supposed to be in his record whatsoever. And all of that. And we are looking forward as Nigerians to see those things put in place, and then we can sit back. Don't beg us. We want to see your actions. We are tired of hearing you saying things like you feel our pains. If you feel our pains, your policies, the economy will start taking a turn gradually. We are seeing how the central bank is bastardizing our reserves to be able to have some inflow. There is nothing that is working in the central bank as it is now. No matter what the CBN governor is doing, is a flop, Sele, because it might look like there's some gain here. Different kinds of gains and policies. Today you're supplying to the BDCs, you're sidelining them. Tomorrow when you see the market is crashing, you're giving them terms and conditions and all of those things. And you just can't help but wonder, where are we heading towards regarding the economy? The government, the president knows what to tweak, touch a little bit, that Nigerians will feel at ease, hopeful for a renewed hope administration that something would happen. But until then, the government should not beg Nigerians. We want to see your actions.
Very true. Because just like you said, I mean, we need to see a renewed hope. And I just couldn't help but remember where they said it's looking more like a renewed hunger, not a renewed hope, because there have been hunger in the land.
Yeah.
And if you are buying time from Nigerians saying that you will execute people-oriented programs, then we need to see what are those programs you already have on ground that actually show that you are actually planning to do something that the people will benefit from it. Rachel, while you were talking, I was counting how many more years we have to 2030 to be able to tell if we were able to achieve the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
And there are about 17 of those goals that we're supposed to. Talking about eradicating poverty and hunger, we're still fighting that. In fact, I don't know whether we are trying to reduce the number of people or we're increasing.
We have increased.
Talking about the education, our educational sector keeps crumbling. Talking about healthy water, talking about power. Where are we right now when it comes about power? I can go on and on and on about how many of those goals and how many have Nigeria been able to achieve so far. We have 6 years to go to 2030.
And we have $1 trillion target to be an economy, $1 trillion economy.
So you just can't help but
yes,
ask,
and investors are leaving.
How are we hoping, or what modality have we put in place to be able to achieve that? So really, if this government really wants to do something, they need to sit back, go back to the drawing board, just like you said, tweak 1 or 2 things. It's not about sitting on your big chairs in your big houses. And no, you need to come out and relate with people. Then you know what is really, really happening. Well, we are still waiting. Talking about 30,000 CNG buses, we are waiting to see those buses.
Yes.
Talking about palliative, I don't know if palliative have reached Plateau State. Maybe other states have gotten it. We're yet to see.
Yes.
So many things when you want to look at this protest, and just like we're saying, we are hoping, rather than pointing a finger saying no, we should celebrate the local government autonomy, which I wonder what that has to do with the pain Nigerians are going through.
Wonder.
Because even during the military regime where we didn't have autonomy coming from various places, Nigerians were still having a good time.
Yeah.
You could relate with Nigerians that were, what's the word I would like to use here? Nigerians that were working during the military regime, let's say from 1998 downward to maybe 2000, 1999, before we handed over to, before it was handed over to the democratic dispensation that we're enjoying now.
Yeah.
People would tell you that the economy was thriving better under Abacha's
more
regime.
Value for our
We had
currency
value.
and everything.
I clearly remember, maybe I wasn't that wise, but I clearly remember then, for example, one of the juice we're consuming, I have to call it Five Alive. When we stopped importing Five Alive and we had to start making our own Five Alive, I clearly remember what happened. And yes, we're complaining, because we're used to the way the sweetness is, and then it changed. But that was the way of trying to make sure that everything was localized, that we don't import anything, nothing goes out, nothing comes in.
Yeah.
And our economy was thriving. Why can't we just try 1 or 2 of those things and see how our economy will do? We're having the Nigerian government fighting Dangote for what we just cannot understand.
Yeah.
So many things. If we really, really need to work on making sure we have a better country, we need to do a lot. Now, quickly, just to round up the show, we're seeing that the federal government has kind of slashed or cut down some of our stranded students abroad, their allowances, ever since the Russia-Ukraine, and then we have a number of Nigerians that have been stranded.
Yeah.
The government have been sending little allowances, but because of the economic hardship, the government have no choice but slash down their allowances. And we're seeing that the students are even complaining that for a while, almost getting to 8 months,
Yes, 8
they have
months,
not gotten these allowances. And then they have not gotten it, and the government is cutting it now. And then what is the reason? Economic hardship. So we just cannot distance ourselves from even the reason why Nigerians would love to go on protest alongside.
So this is a proof that no matter where you are, as long as you are dependent on the Nigerian government, SAPA will find
It
you
will get
wherever you
So
are.
whether you japa, Sapa will meet you there.
It will meet you. As long as your funding is related to the Nigerian government, you are in for trouble, because there's so much going on here. And it's easier for you to be neglected because you're not even on the shores of the country. It's 8 months. And I know the students have not been finding it easy. It's not going to be easy. You're in a foreign land. Some of the places are war torn, you are not safe, and all of that. So it's a little bit harsh. And this is one of those things that we cannot say who sent them there. We cannot sound that way. There is a need going out of the country to study, and all of that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when your country is suffering and you are directly dependent on them for your funding, you would also feel the blow of the economy. And it's been 8 months. So I just hope that the federal government, it is better. This is a situation where we say half bread is better than none. So it's been 8 months, but then waiting for funding to come to be able to disburse it to these students, better the deduction than them not receiving it completely. And it would have left them stranded. But either way, as a student, you'll be able to adopt and still be able to do certain things on your own. Try to be creative in your thoughts on how to go about your expenditures, your projects, because some of the funds go for projects, for graduation, and then just monthly stipends for upkeep and all of that. And then also, I believe it is time that we review a lot of things. There are certain countries that Nigerian students are not allowed to work. So I believe that we also need to consider where we send our words. Let's not be carried away that we just want them. I know of a family friend that went through hell in the name of study abroad. And her story, it really, really sad. And it wasn't because it got to the point where she had to beg for food, because she was in a country that wouldn't allow her to work. So you depend on the allowances that come to you. So imagine the students that have been in those countries and haven't seen anything for 8 years. 8 months, sorry. I don't want to imagine it. So let's begin to take certain things seriously. Don't be just too desperate to send your word abroad. There are countries that makes it possible to study and for you to work. It might be little, but at least the economic situation of your country will not affect you as much as it will if you are not permitted to work and all of that. So this is a lesson even for parents, for guardians and all of that. Just like we talk about people that are leaving the country and ending up in bad situations. This is also one of it. Yes, don't just anywhere, let me just leave this country. No, you have to think through the future. I think we get carried away by the now when we make certain decisions, be it work or study. I just hope that Nigerians become better when making certain decisions.
And this call for the Nigerian government to as well check inwardly what can we do to make the environment more conducive. I'm just imagining if the students were schooling back here in the country, with the way things I will just manage within ourselves and find a way. Maybe you just trek from here to maybe Ahmadu Bello, and then from there you can walk home. You're still within, you can just get somewhere. But then I mean, just like you rightly pointed out, no matter where you are, if your government or your country is not thriving well, it will get to you eventually. So we hope to see better measures being put in place. Well, thank you, Rachel, for being with me. And as well, thank you to our viewers and thank you to everyone who made this program a success. We look forward again to doing this tomorrow. To have a blessed day ahead.